What's up, guys? Welcome to the Crypto Savvy channel. I'm Craig, and we are going to, you guessed it, take a look at the markets. We're going to start out with the Dow, then we're going to move on to the DXY, then we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. As you guys know, we've been watching the Bitcoin weekly RSI trend line. I got a few things I want to show you on that. It is still looking exactly like the Amazon compared to Bitcoin chart. And we talked about the Amazon compared to Bitcoin chart being the crypto scam washout. As you guys know, we had Luna, Celsius, and now it looks like FTX is in trouble. This is what we had been expected since we made the video on December 2nd. Just like in the dot-com bubble, we had to wash out all the crap before the market could actually do well. And I think we're going to be looking at the same thing for Bitcoin. I still think, as I've been talking about since then, that our actual bottom will be sometime in the middle or end of next year, 2023. Anyways, let's get into the charts. Let's look at it. Make sure you stick around for the whole video. I have a lot to talk about. Also, make sure you take a second out, scroll down. I'll wait for you. Smash that thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Also, share the video if you would, if you enjoy the content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for daily updates Monday through Friday. All right. So looking at the Dow futures, we're up 194 points. S&P's up 23 points. NASDAQ up 72. As you guys know, that really means nothing until the markets open. Looking at the the Dow. This is a falling channel we've been watching. Now, if we break out of this with the daily candle open and close above this, then that changes everything. Maybe Bitcoin has bottomed at that point. But until then, nothing's changed. Macro bearish. People have been saying Bitcoin's holding up well with the stock markets falling, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you look, the stock markets haven't fallen nearly as much as Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not holding up very well. I've talked about it many times. Bitcoin is dependent on traditional markets. Bitcoin is a risky asset. So if the markets are going down, people aren't going to be buying risky assets, right? So as you guys can see, here's our trend line down here. Now on the trend line, we could come the RSI could come for one more touch to the top. If we do that, it could be as high as it was 33.3. Now time has went by. This is a downward sloping trend line. So around 33.250, possibly a wick to 33. If so, and then continuing down. But remember, unless we open and close a daily above this, it remains bearish. We did get rejected at our 0.786 from this high to this low. Right now, we're resting on the golden pocket zone. Now, once we break below this and test it for resistance, our next stop's 31,460. And after that, 30,800 range. These are bounce areas, guys. Each time one of these breaks, you go to the next. Then we got to 236 at 29.9. And then, depending on how long this would take, around 27.6 would be the bottom of this if it happened pretty quick. The longer it takes, the lower that goes. But once we break that, we have a target of around 22.3 for the Dow. That would be the RSI coming all the way back down to retest this trend line. So be careful, guys. I do not think the bottom is in yet. Now, looking at the DXY, we've been looking at this as a possible ABC with the Fibonacci extensions from this high to this low to this high, looking at it as a possible ABC. There is still a possibility we come back down and test this blue trend line. If it was to happen today or tomorrow, it would get us down to around 109. So you may see another bump up for Bitcoin if that happens, but there's nothing to say it has to happen. We could bounce right where we're at now, or possibly around the 110.24 area. But unless we break down below this, if we break down below this, we may see a bigger jump in Bitcoin. But I do think this is going to hold right here and just for a continuation to the upside. As you guys know, in my big picture, my next target for the DXY is around 122. That's where I see the next major resistance if it does get there. And that would be possibly a major bounce for Bitcoin. So this could take possibly into February or March to get up here, then get a pullback, and then Bitcoin get a rally for a month or two. And we'll talk about that time frame on the charts. So, but my big picture on the DXY, if we go out to the weekly and we look at this falling wedge, our measured move for that is around 178 to 180. Now, people say the world would end, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. You can see how it rallied here. It went all the way up to around 164 back in the 80s. I've showed you a lot of similarities in the 80s. I still believe that that's pretty much what's happening. History repeats. I don't care about the news. Everything's already in the charts. I know a lot of people don't believe that, but if you watch this channel, you'll see, just like, you know, back when Elon, they blamed the market dump on Elon Musk when he tweeted. We called it way before he tweeted. Just a lot of, you really got to spend some time in the markets, guys, to learn that stuff. But you'll become more and more confident in reading the charts as time goes on. You have to put the time in. You're not going to be able to watch somebody 1 or 2 times and learn the market. You're not going to be able to pay for a program. There's no cookie cutter program to teach you. You have to put the time in. All right, let's take a look at Prime XBT. If you guys are interested in trading, definitely check out Prime XBT. Links down below. You can use my promo code SAVVY50. That'll get you up to a $7,000 bonus to add towards your margin. SAVVY25 will get you 25% off your fees. You can trade alts, Bitcoin, Forex, gold, silver, oil, S&P, Dow Jones, pre-markets, post-markets, all from one exchange. They don't trade against you. You don't get the scam wicks like you get on the other exchange, just liquidating all their customers, guys. Be careful. There is a difference between A-book and B-book exchanges. Prime XBT is an A-book. Look it up yourself. B-book exchanges have insider trading within their own. They're using their own stuff, so they trade against their customers, liquidate them, and that's how they make money. These guys are just a broker. They would rather you win and stick around and keep trading, because then they make commission off of being your broker. So let's take a look at the monthly. This isn't for some reason, the Brave New Coin Index doesn't. I just use this one because it has a longer history. But for some reason, it doesn't always update fast. So we're actually lower. It says 20,900. We're actually below this trend line. Now, this is the monthly, so we can get back above it and stay above it for a while. But I do believe we're going to close the monthly below this trend line. And you can see there's plenty more room to the downside. I know a lot of people like to look at the weekly, which we're going to take a look at. But nevertheless, we have much more room to go to the downside on the monthly. Now, let's take a look at the weekly. So as you can see here, up here, we had lower highs in the price action, higher highs in the RSI, hidden bearish divergence in a downtrend, hidden divergence, continuation of the trend continued down. As you can see, now what do we have here? We have higher highs in the RSI, lower highs in the price action, hidden bearish divergence, right? That's not to say we can't get one more little bump up, but in the big picture, all this did, the RSI reset itself for more downside. As the RSI went up, price still going down, made a bunch more room to the downside for it to fall back down. I know a lot of people want to talk about the bullish divergence. Well, this is a small little area in the chart, right? All that is a reversal. The hidden divergence is more powerful when it's going with the trend. The trend is down, it's hidden bearish, it's going with the trend. All right, let's take a look at the weekly. So on the weekly, we've had these targets forever. Our first one being, since we broke over here, once we broke down from this rising broadening wedge, 14.5 area is where I see us, our next support. I do think we are going to get down to this range. We'll probably get a bounce here. Remember, 75 to 8,500 is my false bottom area I'm watching for, but that doesn't come until February, March. So there's going to be a lot of movement in this time. We've talked about how this works in a bear market, right? Every little rally, people get super bullish, people buy in, that's exit liquidity, only to go down and make lower lows afterwards. So this is the RSI, right? We're going to take a look at that. Actually, we'll go into this first. Then we're going to take a look at the RSI. I know the RSI trend line broke right with the close yesterday, but I want to show you something very interesting, so stick around. Let's take a look at our falling channel here. If we were to go back up and tag this and get a crazy spike up, we could get as high as 24.1, 24.2 area, which also would line up with the 200 EMA if it happens sometime this week. Not saying that's not going to happen. But if we do break this trend line, get support on it, then maybe the bottom's in. But until then, macro is still bearish. I remain bearish. You can also look at the RSI here. We have tagged this trend line again. And if you look at my blue lines here, this one here, what do we see? We see hidden bearish divergence, higher highs in the RSI, lower highs in the price action. RSI reset for more downside. Now, like I said, we could get a spike up, right? All the way up to this area, but we did have our target on the 4 hour, which we'll take a look at in a second. So what happens after 45 or 14.5? Well, we may come down. We have to break this 18.3 first. If we break the 18.3, great short position, in my opinion. And then you come down to the 14.5, possibly get a bounce all the way back up to here before the continuation to the false bottom. And then ultimately, middle or end of next year, that 3,500 range. If you look in here, this does look like a rising wedge forming on the RSI. Once this bottom trend line breaks, I do think that will be probably the break of this 18.3. Let's take a look at the 4 hour real quick. So on the 4 hour, we had this target. I put it up last Monday, right? Once we broke this. So actually it was about 2 weeks ago. Was it? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, we started talking about this 21.5 being a possibility, right? We hit it almost perfectly. If you look, I kind of put this a little bit higher than the actual measured move, but we nailed the measured move right there. This could be the top, guys, but let's talk about something real quick. So if we look at this descending trend line here we had off of these wicks, if this remains, right, and we got a bounce off here, if this remains, then we could break that 21.5 area. Where would that go? Possibly to, if we put our Fibonacci on here from the top to the bottom, could get as high as a 21.825, maybe get a wick up, get everyone super bullish before coming back down. But if we break below this now, as of right now, this is going to be around 20,005. If we open and close a 4 hour below 20,500, then this line is invalid and we move it up, and that being our top there. And what is that? That's still just a descending triangle. Still get the same measured move around $7,500 range. That being the measured move from here to here, right? So far, let's put that back down there for now because we are bouncing off it, although I don't think it'll continue, but we'll keep an eye on it. Nevertheless, there's much more room for downside, guys, so be extremely careful. As I talked about back here, any push up I would short. I did get a short in. I got my short in at about 21.33, somewhere in that range. I didn't quite catch the top, but as you can see, we nailed our area we were looking for, right? So again, right now we are above the 55 EMA, and the 55 EMA is around 20,700, right below that. And I think we continued on. I think we break this trend line and continue on down. Now let's take a look at the Amazon compared to Bitcoin chart. And we're going to take a closer look in the next chart at this RSI, right? We talked about this for a long time. Now, just let me explain real quick. We talked about this since December 2nd. How does a bear market bubble pop pattern work? It washes out all the scams in the space, if you want to call it. But you have your first dump, get a big rally. Everyone's super scared down here. You get a big rally, then everyone's bullish again. They don't sell because they think that was it. Everybody's telling them 100,000 again. And then a continuation down to make a lower low. And then another bounce all the way down, just all the way down, same thing over and over. Now, if you look here, that we got up to test the 21 EMA. If that was to happen, we get a fast spike up there, be around 23,000 range. Remember that, what is that, 24,000 is the top of that falling channel. But if so, could get a quick wick up there. If anything gets up there, I will be shorting the hell out of it. But anyways, if we look at this, the time frames are the same. This top was in April. This top was in December. This top was in April. This top was in November. Pretty damn close, right? This bottom was in June. This bottom over here was in June. This second bottom was in August. Second bottom here, September. So you can see these are all super close, guys. This bottom here was June. This bottom here well, this bottom here was June. Then we made a lower bottom, which we didn't quite make a lower bottom here. October, this is October right here. We are in this area, guys, right where we should be. As you can see, if we look here, they are even the MACD was rising a little bit like it is now, only to flip back over. So when would this false bottom be? This false bottom should be in February, March, maybe even April, but we get a good month rally after that. So this would be a good place to buy or put longs in if we do reach this area. If you're scared about Bitcoin going up from here, get some exposure. I wouldn't go all in, but if you're afraid you're going to miss out, you got the FOMO, you know, just in case it does go up, maybe expose yourself a little bit, but don't be overexposed in any market. But once this happens, maybe a great short opportunity here. Just what I would do is follow my longs with stop loss, keep them in profit. And then if it does take a big dip down like this did over here, it stops you out, and then you get an opportunity to buy lower lows. And you'll see a break of the weekly trend line that'll get everyone bullish like it did back here. Come back up, only to come back down, retest that trend line for a lower low. Now, let's take a look at that RSI. So as you can see right here, I have the Amazon weekly RSI. We had our touch, and we just got outside of the trend line there, kind of a fake out, bull trap, if you will. And then continuation down. Now that's exactly what we're seeing here. This one might got a little bit more out of the trend line. Nevertheless, doesn't mean anything unless this holds. Possibly come back down, get a bounce. But so far, it looks like next week we're going to be below this. If we're still above it, then maybe things change. Maybe this was the false bottom. Maybe we get a big rally and then our real bottom next year in the beginning of the year. But either way, I don't think this is the bottom totally. So let's take a look at what I do think. So as you can see, this is the same chart, Amazon.com bubble, and then we have the Bitcoin.com bubble, or the Bitcoin bubble. And as you can see, still looking the same. We have not broken anything here. Now the 55 EMA right now is around 29,300. So not that we would get up that fast, but around 29,300. If we break above this 55 EMA, that negates this whole theory, right? So until that is broken, I pretty much think it's safe to say that Bitcoin has not bottomed. We have further down to go. And if it was to play out the same, we'd be looking at a 38, maybe even 45K in mid to end of 2025. As you can see, this was around October when this one hit. And then just another dump, another rally. Could be 10 years to see a new all-time high. Here's another chart. This is Bitcoin right here. This is Amazon. This is just overlaying the same weekly chart. And as you can see, the tops and bottoms line up beautifully. Just be careful out there, guys. Don't get overly bullish. I still think we have plenty more downside. And remember, if this plays out this way, the actual bottom won't be until the middle or end of next year, unless we break that 55 weekly EMA before then. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you smash those thumbs up, share the video, subscribe, tick that notification bell, get you notified when I post new videos. And I will see you in the next video. I'm going to go check on the house, see if they're going to pour the walls today. I'll let you guys know. Take it easy, guys.